If you have a backyard flock of chickens, this video is for you. I'm just curious, if you did have your backyard flock of chickens, would you be willing to register your flock and say how many birds you have and the different species and breeds of chickens you have? Well, it turns out in Europe, there has been legislation passed on October 1st of this year, 2024, that you are required to register your backyard flock. And if you don't, you could face significant fines of $2,500 or even worse, jail time. And I'm going to show you the article that explores all of the details about this new legislation. But first, before we dive in, make sure to like this video so more videos like this one pop up on your feed, and subscribe to my channel for more awesome homesteading content. All right, let's dive in. In just a second, baby. This is my daughter's favorite chicken, by the way. This is Cheddar, and she she is a bantam. Do you remember what kind of breed she is?
She's
A Millie Fleur de Uccle, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, she's a mixed breed, and that happens a lot when you have a backyard flock because oftentimes you're interested in getting eggs like these, a beautiful rainbow color of eggs. And so the first thought of having to register the different breeds is kind of overwhelming because they're a big mixed bag. So let's read about what is actually going on right now. It could be a chicken, a duck, a pigeon, goose, or bird of prey. This new law in England and Wales means that you must register them with the APHA before 1st of October 2024. And if you live in Scotland, you have until December 1st to register your birds, or you are breaking the law. The whole point of this new legislation is designed to keep birds safe by limiting the spread of potential disease outbreaks, specifically the bird flu. Owners who have less than 49 birds will need to update their birds' detail on the register annually. The registration is free, but failure to register your birds puts you at risk of a hefty fine as much of as 2,500 pounds, not even dollars. So that would be more in US dollars, or a short jail sentence. Birds that don't need to be registered are these two types of breeds here. Pisidiforms? I've never heard of that before. Are passeriforms. Budgies, parrots, canaries, cockatiels, and finches, as long as they are kept fully housed in a birdhouse indoors and have no access to the open air. Now, this is what I think is really most interesting, because if you have chickens, then there's most likely a good chance that you have fallen into this like gateway of this gateway rabbit hole of health. And what you learn quickly is if you want a healthy flock of birds, you keep a healthy habitat. That means good husbandry. You're not letting your chickens live in their own poop. They get sick with so many different types of things. So it's pretty obvious when there is something wrong with chickens or wrong with how you're raising them. But a healthy bird should, first of all, be laying beautiful eggs and also look fantastic. They should have full plumage. They should be running around free range, getting a full nutritious meal. And so anyone that's taking care of chickens, or any animal for that sake, should recognize that it has everything to do with how they are kept. And very similar to humans, right? If we are drinking soda and eating fast food and watching TV all the time, we're going to get sick. And so I'm really hoping that they dive a little bit more into this deeper root cause of this legislation, because of course, if you raise chickens more than 50 and you're having a massive chicken operation, there's a lot that goes into that. Factory farm chicken is terrible. Some of the conditions that I've seen chickens raised in is just really ugly and disappointing and not something that we want to support. But interestingly enough, they have these house birds that are seemingly safe as long as they're kept indoors and not exposed to open air. But if you take your birds of any species outdoors, for example, to be exercise trained, they must be registered. So what I'm gathering from here is that we're completely ignoring the immune system. We're completely ignoring how, like, the foundation of how health works. Um, we have immune systems. Every creature on this planet has an immune system for a purpose. But let's just keep going and see what else they have to say about the bird flu. Anyone keeping 50 or more game birds, chickens, or ducks are already required to register with the APHA. And that is because there is more liability. That is a larger operation. And they're likely selling either the meat or the eggs or both commercially. So keeping birds safe. Since 2021, the UK's largest ever outbreak of bird flu has devastated populations of endangered native species, including the barnacle geese and great skuas. Spread by wild birds, even in a very small amount of the avian influenza virus can be fatal to birds. The UK's chief vet officer, Dr. Christine Middlemas, says, "We have seen that backyard flocks of any size are also vulnerable to avian influenza. Since October 2021, there have been 83 confirmed cases amongst backyard poultry or small captive bird flocks across Great Britain. This is around a quarter of all confirmed outbreaks." Whenever statistics like this are thrown out there, I always want to know, well, 83 sounds like a lot. So what is the total number? What is the actual percentage of backyard flocks that we're comparing this number 83 to? And of course, this is just a quick search, so I can't back this up and say that this is the number, but it's AI generated based on everything that is pulled up here on the internet. And according to what I found here, in 2019, a survey by the British Poultry Council estimated that there were approximately 1.5 million backyard poultry keepers in the UK. That's a lot. And that actually makes 83 sound like nothing. Let's just do the math. 83 divided by 1.5 million. Let's see. That's 1,500,000. Wow. I don't know what to say about that. That is interesting. That is really, really interesting. So let's just keep going as to why we have to register our birds, why this is a serious concern. The register will allow the APHA to contact bird owners if there's any kind of disease outbreak locally to give advice on how to protect their flocks. That sounds wonderful. I don't see a problem with that. Once you've registered your birds, you'll need to tell them within 1 month if you no longer keep or own your birds. If your contact information changes, you change the species of poultry or other birds you keep, you change the purpose for which you keep the birds, or you expand your flock to 50 or more poultry or other captive birds. That's quite restrictive. I honestly don't know if I would be interested in keeping up with the paperwork and having chickens. It seems like it makes owning chickens a lot more work than it actually is. And I would be worried that this would discourage families and small farms to keep backyard flocks. And in reality, if we're going to think about regenerative farming and the most sustainable type of agriculture and homesteading, it's backyard flocks. It also creates a stronger local food web and food economy. And this right here, um, that's pretty significant. I wonder what you guys think. Please let me know in the comments. The registration is free. Well, thank goodness for that. And takes around 10 minutes. You'll just have to include how many birds you have in their species, what you keep them for, and where your birds are kept. And this has all the information on how to register your birds. So all in all, I take a look at this and I think, wow, this is really interesting. Surely the people in government understand health, right? Uh, we are in a really interesting time in our world where we are seeing a lot of confusion within the health industry, within politics, and this is where both kind of meet and has pretty significant impact in a very small way. This has not been big news. I just found this scrolling through the internet, and I'm surprised that this is not huge news because if it's happening in Great Britain and Wales and in Scotland, I think it was, then where else is this going to happen? What happens if this is the future of our world, where in order to keep a few chickens, you have to register them and be on top of any updates? And so I'd love to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments and make sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more interesting homesteading sustainably and healthy holistically content.